Talking about dedication today. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast, Apple, Google, Spotify. Watch on YouTube, Softball Strength Academy YouTube page. There's some pillars here we need to talk about today when it comes to dedication. Power of habit, tools of consistency or tools for consistency, sacrifice, and knowing your role. And we could start with the power of habit. And I think that when it comes to, you mentioned something last week actually on the show that I laughed at. But it made a lot of sense. And you talked about when you're coaching baseball players, softball players, and they set up the tee right in the middle of the plate, right? And they hit balls right back up the middle and they feel good about themselves. And you mentioned, well, you're not gonna get that pitch in the game. So you better move the tee around. And it's easy to do things like that and be successful in the cage in that scenario. But the real dedication, today's topic, episode 36, that comes from the power of habit that you have off the field as well, and those little things that you're doing to make yourself better on the field. And that comes from sleep, it comes from nutrition, all of those little things that a lot of people will overlook.
Yeah, and I think the point of this is, when you're dedicated, you're committed to something, right? But to be dedicated to something or to be committed to something is difficult, and it's nice to be able to do it in a moment or right when you join a team. Or how many people have a sophomore slump because they were dedicated their freshman going into their freshman year and then not so much after that. So you really have to buy into, this is the reason I'm going to be successful is going to be because of how powerful these tiny little habits are that are going to lead to a very consistent life. But yeah, I think that's something that gets very, social media makes it seem like those aren't as important, I think, because what people see on social media is they started here and within a minute I get to see all these clips of an entire year maybe. And it makes it seem like it happened like that,
Right.
Not the grind of, if you will, the grind of waking up earlier, having a nighttime routine or having a morning routine or buying a Whoop to see how you're sleeping. It's all these tiny little things, journaling after you hit, even when it's hard, like doing these habits are so extremely powerful, and it's not going to feel good in the moment. It's going to be that marshmallow effect. It's going to be a long delayed gratification before you're like, okay, this is why it made sense to do all those tiny things the right way.
We talked about the marshmallow effect last week, actually, on last week's show. So go back and listen in the archives, wherever you get your podcasts. And with dedication, you mentioned something in there too with social media and how it's easy now to put clips together. There's apps for that where you can just quickly put together your main highlights that make you look successful, and that's all well and good. But it's still, and this will never go out of style, no matter what technology comes around. I don't believe this will ever change. It's what you're doing behind the scenes that people don't see. It's that at times, unfortunately, the internal and external struggle that you may have when it comes with the dedication to try and get better and get to that next step.
Yeah, I think it's probably especially because we are so like short-term focused. How many times do people actually enjoy sitting? I mean, look what we're doing in baseball. We're trying to shorten the game because no one likes to sit through a long game, and movies are shorter and things are just not as long because our attention spans are so shortened. So yeah, telling someone like, listen, you're going to have to, for 2 years, really dedicate yourself to these things in order to see a result is difficult. People are like, what are you talking about? Like, my value on time. Like, look at, this is an example I just read in a book. So it's not but meditation versus Xanax. You have people who like want to feel calm. That's the desired outcome. And they're more willing to take a pill instead of committing themselves to the habit of meditation, even though we know meditation long-term is going to be healthier and maybe a better outcome. But the way people are valuing time and that commitment is I think what changes the perspective on that.